Croatia defeating Argentina by 3-0 to guarantee them a place in the knockout stages. For Argentina, they now have it very much all to do to try and make it to the round of 16. We'll talk about Croatia and give them plenty of love in a minute, but we've got to start, Craig, surely, with Argentina and how just diabolical they were.
I've never seen an Argentinian side recently with less of a plan, with less cohesion. They were all over the place. And then, of course, when the game got away from them, they resulted to, let's be honest, the dirty tricks.
Yep.
Right? Particularly the one where Otamendi smashed the ball against Rakitic when he was on the floor. That's what they resorted to. That's what they were all about today. Couldn't get Messi into the game. We saw him in fits and starts. He was sporadic. He just didn't look right. And then he just threw a load of subs on. It was like just no plan from the coach, and rightly they got hammered.
Not only did he just throw the subs on, you go a goal down, and you take off Aguero and stick on Higuain. Why are you not keeping Aguero on? You need to score a goal. You need to try and win the game. I mean, for me, as a Pauli, you've got to question every decision he's made ever since he took over. This team, this squad is pretty much the same one that struggled and somehow got themselves into the World Cup. It's still the same squad, it's still pretty much the same team, and they're still horrible.
Look, I'm really not sure what Sampaoli brings to the table here for Argentina, apart from in the qualifiers talking about we've got to build this team around Lionel Messi to make him the focal point and support him as best we can. That wasn't as evidenced at all today during the course of this game. Now, over 90 minutes, you saw everything you would expect from Argentina, we predicted, especially at the back, highlighted by Willy Caballero's mistake. We knew that if Argentina were going to do anything in this tournament, it would be a matter of outscoring the opposition. They had the tools to do so, or so you would have thought. But then you saw this game barely troubled superstition at the other end, couldn't get Lionel Messi on the ball in good areas, and no real supporting cast. It was bemusing.
It's hard to speak about Maradona's version of Argentina in 2010 as organized. Well, compared to this, that was the last time you were talking about. That was the last time that you just thought of Argentina. What are they doing? And you watch this team play, and you have to ask the question: in preparation for this tournament, what has Jorge Sampaoli been doing with this team? Yep. Because there doesn't seem to be any idea as to what the role of each of the players is. There doesn't seem to be a clear path as to this is how we're going to get a result. This is how we're going to get Messi on the ball. What is Argentina doing trying to play out of the back with guys like Mercado, Otamendi, Tagliafico, Caballero, and time again they're trying to do it. Time and time again they're getting in trouble, and somehow they don't learn from it. As for Lionel Messi, I love me some Lionel Messi. I love this guy as a player. But you cannot, in a moment like this, just kind of park yourself on the sidelines and say, you know what, guys, that's it, I've had it. And that was the attitude that he showed in the second half. Croatia scores the goal, there's no reaction from Argentina, and certainly no reaction from Lionel Messi. I know that he's not getting the balls in the best area. I know that there are players that are underperforming alongside him. But at some point, you got to get the ball and you got to say, okay, it's going to be up to me or it's not going to happen. Instead, he took the easy way out. He went out to the flank and he parked himself out there and did not participate.
That's a bit harsh.
I don't think it's harsh at all.
No, Stevie, I think he looked disinterested. As this game wore on, I think he looked disinterested. He looked at the Caballero mistake. He looked at some of the players on the team sheet. He probably thought about some of the players that had been left behind, particularly somebody like Icardi. And then he probably thought about, he's taking Aguero off, and you mentioned that. He probably thinks the coach hasn't got a clue. So he did. He went out there and he went, do you know what? This is what I got to play with. He looked disinterested in the second half.
I think it's the wrong word, disinterested. I think he looked a broken man. That's what he looked like to me.
It's the second game in the tournament.
To me, he ended up wide because he couldn't get it in the middle. He couldn't get it up front. He couldn't come back and get it. He's all over the place trying to get it. So I honestly can't put my hand on my heart and say this is a guy who ever is disinterested. I would say he was broken.
When you see him
completely broken.
If you're disinterested, fair enough. But second game into the tournament at 1-0 down, For all the great things we continue to say about Lionel Messi, at this point, you want him to step up and take this game by the scruff of the neck, as he did for Argentina in the qualifiers. But that wasn't evidence today. He didn't try to get on the ball. He didn't try to do anything. As Ali says, he kind of parks himself outside when you just expected more.
Listen, Messi might have had the greatest game he's ever had in his life. I still don't think they would have won the game. It's not. They haven't lost because of Lionel Messi, but he was and he is the talisman, and he was disappointing. But I mean, some of the rest of it, honestly, they were. I mean, all over the place.
Like, they've got lucky a little bit in situations in the first half against Iceland, didn't they, with Willy Caballero and what was going on at the back. He got caught out this time. What's he thinking?
I don't know. And this is a ridiculous thing again. You know you're not great at the back. You know you're a little bit top-heavy if you just look at talents and names on the team sheet. Don't take chances at the back. Give those guys something to shoot at. Give them something to aim at. Don't give anything cheaply away at the back. If World Cups teach us one thing, it's that goals are hard to come by, and when somebody gets one, as we've seen in this tournament by the number of 1-0s we've had, they just sit back, soak up pressure, and do it very well. To give the opposition, regardless of who you're playing against, Croatia, to give them a goal.
What about the third goal? What about the third goal?
Everyone just stopped, didn't they, basically?
Rakitic goes through, tries to play a nice little side foot into the corner. There's 4 Argentinian defenders who just stand and watch, and then he just saunters into the box as the keeper makes the save and gets a little side pass from, I don't know who it was, and has a tap in. And they're all stood in the penalty spot.
Even at 1-0 and 2-0, we're kind of weighing up conundrums. What needs to happen in the next game between Iceland and Nigeria, and then match day 3, maybe goal difference can play a part here. And you're still in this. Well, there's still one game to go in this group, in terms of match day 2, but you're still in it. Now, all of a sudden, you can see the second, you can see the third. You don't see anybody turning that over in terms of goal difference. I'm not sure where you go from it.
Sorry, Steve. I just want to show the group, because obviously this has great significance, this defeat against Croatia. You mentioned as well that final game against Nigeria. Remember, it's Iceland against Nigeria tomorrow. If you're Argentinian, you want Nigeria to win that match. Because obviously, if Iceland win, then it's pretty much done and dusted. Remember, they take on Croatia, who are already through. You need a massive goal swing to give yourself any sort of hope.
I'm sorry, but I've kind of lost the plot with them. I think they're
That's it.
They're done. I mean, they're an absolute shambles. You know, we can look at Messi and we can blame players for individual mistakes. You can blame Caballero, but at the end of the day, the guy in charge is Sao Paulo. He has to carry the major part of this problem. Because of such a shambles, that 100% is down to the coach. And if players step out of position or they do things that he hasn't been telling them to do, that's why he's in the side, to tell them what to do and fix it. And the guy did nothing the whole game.
Where's our Deportes colleague?
Where's Ricky Ortiz? This is after the defeat against Spain. He said, don't panic.
Ricardo Ortiz, he must be in a bunker somewhere. With enough rations for a year, because that defeat, don't panic. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And myself, stupidly, thought when they come out the group as struggled as they did in CONMEBOL, thought, well, do you know what? That was a struggle, but when they get to the tournament, they'll put their big tournament hat on and they'll be okay. No.
Frank Leboeuf with us to talk about France's 1-0 victory over Peru. How's it gone down in Paris, Frank?
Well, really, like after the first game, the expectations were huge. We thought, after the first game, the stress will go out and they will really go into the World Cup and work their socks off. It started pretty well. The first half was pretty good, with a very good Paul Pogba and an excellent N'Golo Kante in the midfield zone. We scored a nice goal. I think Olivier Giroud did exactly what we were expecting from him, being a very good target for everybody to turn around him. So it was great, and we scored a goal. Mbappe scored the goal. So we thought we were going into a great success, and second half, nothing, and in a way that suddenly I was so disappointed of seeing my national team being in its all the players being in the last 20 yards, trying to save the result, like, I don't know, Panama or, I don't know, another small team. And that's a team who think they can win the World Cup, maybe. We are so far away from there. We've been smashed by Peru in the second half, like they were the big team with all the history of football, and we were a very small team. So we have to react if we want to be better. We have to win against Denmark. We can't even think of just drawing or maybe putting the substitute or whatever. We have to win, because imagine we lose against Denmark, if we go through, but with 2 bad games, the 2 first games, and a loss. It's impossible to carry on like that. We have to do better, really have to do better.
So France are fine, obviously, top of the group, 2 wins. But this is a big deal, isn't it? You can't just shake your head and shrug your shoulders.
You know, I sympathise with France or with Frank and how poor France have been. You expect more, especially after the disappointments of 2 years ago. Yes, given the talent that they have at their disposal, you expect a better performance. But all that being said, we've seen some very big names in this tournament put in some decidedly average performances. You take the 2 wins, you hope you learn from it, and you hope for better performance.
That's certainly the glass is half full, isn't it? Because you take a look at it, you look at all that talent that is there. And OK, first game you maybe give them a pass, but the second half, as Frank said, you've got all of these multi-million-dollar footballers hanging on against Peru.
Well, Peru are decent, and strong, and quick, and powerful, and came out to calm the ball. But I hear you. The French, and rightly so, hold themselves to higher standards than the first 2 games. There's not a doubt about it. But from 60 minutes on, Peru just took the bull by the horns, and they pushed and they pushed, and they had a great strike against the woodwork. They had some chances, Larissa to make some saves. The disappointing thing, if France want to do that, and they should be good enough to suck Peru in with the pace that French team have got, and just hit them on the counter-attack and kill the game off. But they didn't even look as if they were bothered to do that. So 6 points, but pretty disappointing with the talent they've got at their disposal.
It just seems, once again, and this keeps coming up with France, 11 individuals.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you compare it and contrast it with the situation in Argentina, well, you'll take the 6 points,
Of course.
not playing well, and you'll take that. But if you really evaluate France and you start looking at team performance and individual performances, you have to ask questions. When N'Golo Kante is your best player over your first 2 games, right? As good a player as he is, it can't be that your defensive midfielder is the guy that really has taken the leadership role and be the guy for your team. That also tells you that in the attacking half, not much at all. Antoine Griezmann, another game, and another one of those games that you just say, where were you?
Yeah.
Mbappe was better today than he was in the first game, and yet he wasn't able to take advantage of his athleticism and the speed that Craig is talking about on the counter. You're expecting more, but based upon what you're seeing from some of the other big teams, you're sitting there, your friends, you're like, you know what? We'll take our position.
We're waiting longer for Antoine Griezmann to get going than we were for him to make a statement about staying at Atletico Madrid pre this World Cup starting.
Will they get going? Will they gel?
I haven't seen anything in either of the friendlies leading up to the World Cup or these 2 games to suggest yes. Yes, Griezmann's disappeared, but for me, their biggest problem's in the middle of the park. They don't have the balance between stopping teams getting at the back 4. If there's a positive, then they've defended well pretty much. They haven't let much go. But apart from not defending well in the middle of the park, they're not giving the front 3 anything from the middle of the park either. They're not giving them any service. You take Mbappe out of this team right now, you've got nothing going forward.
Frank, how do you fix this? How do you make your boys better?
Well, there is one thing that I think about, for the past 2 days, where, Didier Deschamps decided that he will give the leadership in that team to Paul Pogba and Antoine Griezmann. He will fix all the players around them. But if those 2 don't give what they have to give as talented as they are, but give you an average performance, the whole squad has to be changed because it doesn't work with them. So it's complicated in a way that as long as Didier will decide to keep those players, and those players are average, you will have a problem with other players. So maybe because you put Lemar out, you didn't give him a chance, or because you put Tolisso after the first game out, and you still try for like the past 3 or 4 years, you try to give Pogba the leadership, you have a problem in the midfield. Paul Pogba was excellent for like 35 minutes, but it's not enough. I follow the Premier League with Manchester United, where Paul Pogba can be the best player on earth, and Manchester will win. But can be the worst player and Manchester will lose. So that's the problem with Paul Pogba when he talks and says he wants to be the Ballon d'Or, that he wants to have the key of the national team. Okay, but show us to me that you can do that. But so far it doesn't work. And when you have the wrong leader, I would say it's complicated to be performant. But that's what it is.
Welcome into our ESPN FC Facebook Live. I'm Alexis Younes here with Stevie Nichols' first Facebook Live, I think it is.
Yes.
All right, well, there you
Can't
go.
wait.
First time for everything. I'd want a time to be talking about anything than during the World Cup. Group C action has just concluded, and we have seen France officially qualify for the round of 16 after a narrow 1-0 defeat, another narrow defeat this time over the sweethearts of the tournament, Peru. If any Peru fans are watching, my heart breaks with you. But again, I say a narrow defeat, Stevie, because I feel like we expected a bit more from France. We've been talking about this for some days now on the show. The media has been absolutely vicious to the French players. Did you see any signs of improvement in this match against Peru?
In a word? No.
Plain and simple.
I guess you want more than that. Listen, France, certainly in recent months, and even during the qualifying, were very underwhelming, considering...
So was it just media hype that we were expecting so much?
No, I think we all understand the technical players that they have. And so when you get a sheet of paper and you write down the starting 11, and you take a Peru, for example, or an Australia, I mean, they just don't compare. You know, France's starting 11 on paper is way above either of these two countries in particular, and Denmark, who are in the group. But they don't produce. You know, Deschamps, for me, I think is a little culpable. Certainly, I think the biggest pressure should be on the players to perform with the ability they have. But Deschamps has to find a system and a balance and a team that has chemistry on the field and that connects. And actually, you know, you look at Spain and they pass the ball and they've got movement. For me, France just seem to be a bunch of individuals who have so much quality that they get by, because they got by today. You know, Mbappe, he's the youngest player in the squad, but he's the only guy who seems to be standing up and producing what he's capable of. He scores the goal. He always looked dangerous, and then he's the first one taken off. I mean, I'm not sure what Deschamps is trying to do, and is he looking after Griezmann, who I thought was awful today. I don't think he was particularly good against Australia either. Giroud. He's there to hit the long ball to lay it off to Griezmann coming late. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But on the whole, I'm not quite sure what France are trying to do other than just get the ball to Mbappe and let him run at people.
Well, because this is a Facebook Live, we do see all of you guys' comments coming in right now. So keep them coming. We've got a guru right here to answer them, Steve. So I hope you're ready. You're a guru. So we have 2 questions so far. Someone wants to know, what do you make of Pogba's role with France? Is Deschamps to blame for his impact so far, or possibly lack thereof, maybe? I thought he wasn't too terrible today, though.
No, he was the player who won the ball back. He closed the ball down. And eventually it ended up at the feet of Mbappe 2 yards out. I'm not sure Deschamps knows where to play him. Sometimes he plays him on the left of a 3. Today he started in a deeper position beside Kante. So where do you play Pogba? You know, we asked the same question at Manchester United. At the end of the day, I believe he should play in the midfield as far forward as possible, because he has got ability and he sees things that many other players don't. So, you know, his teammates have to help him also, but I think Deschamps has to decide where he wants to play Pogba and leave him there and get him some time in one position.
All right, another question coming in now. Where do you put France's chances of winning the World Cup now after seeing their first 2 matches? Because they did go in as favorites. I even had them as possibly in my top 3, but that might have to... No, forget about that now.
I don't think so. No, I don't see a team.
Do you not see them finally getting time to figure this out? Because something's got to give eventually.
You can argue, and you could probably say that they're finding their way in the tournament. But the fact is, I can't remember the last time I saw a free-flowing, exciting, scintillating performance from France. It just seems to be little bits here and there, and because of the quality they have in the final third, they're getting a goal. You know, you don't expect France to struggle to overcome Peru 1-0.
But credit to Peru and Australia, they did put up some serious fights in both different kinds of fights and different styles, but still France just not impressive.
Well, the truth is, the difference so far has been the quality in the attacking third. Because if Peru had France's quality, or certainly the players with the technique of France's players, then this could have been different. So it's about the final third, and France showed that, as I said, on paper they're better, and well, in the final third they're better.
Now, what would you say then to the people who, because I saw a few tweets about this while the criticisms were flowing in for France, I say, hey, look, it's not pretty, it doesn't look that comfortable, but at the end of the day, France now 2 wins, they are unbeaten, and they are into the round of 16. So isn't that just what matters?
Yes.
But it just won't get them as far.
Well, you know, football players are not daft, and they know when things are going smoothly, and they know when you're struggling a little bit. And so when you're playing against weaker sides, you can get away with it. It's about results, yes it is. But at the same time, in the back of your mind, you know that coming along are going to be a lot tougher opponents, and opponents who are going to have a lot more of the ball than certainly the previous ones had. And for France, that would be a worry for me. They don't inspire me, they haven't inspired me. And so, yeah, they're definitely outside the top 3 now, I think, as favourites for this tournament.
All right, well, more questions coming in now, and one person who definitely has impressed you somewhat, Kylian Mbappe, whether for club or country, and he, of course, his goal today made him France's youngest World Cup goal scorer. He's actually the only player to have scored for France at the World Cup who was born after France's 98 World Cup win, because he was born in December of that year. Unreal. What were you doing at 19? Well, you're probably quite talented as that as well, Stevie.
I was in the pub.
You were in the pub. All right, so Kylian Mbappe, a little bit more impressive than Stevie Nicol. I definitely was not allowed in the pub back then in Jamaica. Well, I was, but my mom didn't let me go. Anyway, so how would you rate Mbappe's World Cup so far? It's only been 2 games.
Mbappe gives me the impression he thinks he's in the schoolyard. He's getting
he's
the
having
ball.
Fun.
He looks as though he's just enjoying what he's doing. When you're a kid and you're on the school playground, you want to get the ball, and you want to dribble past people and score goals. He looks to me as though that's his attitude. Give me the ball, and when you've got the pace and the strength that he has on the ball, it's a good idea. Give him the ball. You know, defenders absolutely detest somebody running at them with pace and ability. It's an absolute nightmare. You don't know whether to back off. You don't know whether to step up, because if you step up, he's past you.
Yep.
So he is an absolute nightmare for defenders, and the guy is absolutely a breath of fresh air. You talk about somebody who just goes on the field and says, this is what I like doing, and this is what I'm going to do. World Cup or not, I'm doing it. But it's fantastic to watch.
At the end of the day, this is a World Cup, and there still are other youthful players on the squad too. So how does Deschamps get that out of the rest of the players, like the Pogbas and the Griezmanns at this stage?
That is part of the, you know, when we talk about the greatest coaches, that is part of the mystique of why certain coaches are better than others. And for me, it's about being able to get into a player's head and to either calm him down if he's a bit flighty, or get him going if he's a little bit too laid back, to find a way of getting him in a state of mind.
Do you think any of them are too laid back right now, that the moment hasn't quite hit them yet?
No, I don't think. I think they're just a little bit uptight. You know, Mbappe goes on the field in the state of mind, to me, that it's about playing and enjoying himself and trying to do the things that he does well. At the moment, I think the rest of his teammates, certainly in the middle of the park and the other forwards, because the back four have been pretty solid. So for me, it's about the coach getting the attacking players in a state of mind where They're not under pressure. They're actually going out and trying to calm down and play the way they can play. And so far, Mbappe's the only one that's really shown that.
All right, well, taking more of your questions now. There was a lot of hype surrounding the front three in the last game that failed to impress. And now today we saw Giroud. So someone's asking, should Giroud start more frequently for France? Does his play allow for more freedom for Mbappe and Griezmann?
Initially, I didn't particularly think Giroud should start. But having seen the front three in the first game, Mbappe, Griezmann and Dembele, it didn't work. And so, you know, today on a couple of occasions, the long ball was on and Giroud held it up and laid Griezmann in, who had a strike at goal, and goalie made a good save. That's another option for them. So I guess I'm going to go with my nemesis, Giroud.
I know Stevie loves some Giroud.
Probably he should start, but Griezmann has to do more.
Yeah.
We know what we're getting from Mbappe. Griezmann has to do more. And the middle three have to give them better ball. They have to give them the ball in better positions to make their job easier. Because at the end of the day, there's a reason why strikers get paid a lot more money than anybody else, because it's the hardest job. And you have to do everything you can to make their job easier.
Now, contrary to what you guys may think, this is not the France football show. We're going to spare a thought for Peru in just a bit. But final question on France right now. Deschamps is constantly criticized. Could Zidane get more out of these players? Does he have that style that would get it out of them?
Well, I think you'd have to say in the Champions League, Zidane showed that he has that little thing I was talking about earlier, who he can get to players and put them in a frame of mind to give of their best. It doesn't seem to me that Deschamps has done that yet or is doing it, but they're still in a competition, and while there's still games to come in time, maybe he can do it. But certainly Zidane for France, if I'm a Frenchman, I think I would like that.
All right, finally, we're going to wrap things up because time flies when you're having a lot of fun, as we have been talking about France clearly. But a thought for Peru, Stevie, what can they take from this kind of experience? Because it has been such a wonderful one and an emotional one for them, and they have played good football.
Yeah, they have, but they've shown a lot of heart and a lot of emotion and soul. And you know, going into the World Cup, I think most Peruvians, I'm going to assume, knew that technically they weren't as good as other sides, particularly France. But what they wanted to see from their countrymen and their team was heart and soul and desire and grit and determination and not giving up and fighting to the last breath and fighting to the last second. That's exactly what they've done.
And they should be proud of it indeed.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Stevie Nicol. That was an absolute blast, man. Sometimes we think we could be here for all 30 minutes, but we don't want to bore you guys too much. We didn't even get to touch on Denmark, Australia, but it's okay. There's still plenty more Facebook Lives to come as the World Cup continues. Thank you guys for watching, and keep your questions coming along.
Let's talk about France, but can place in the next round after that 1-0 victory against Peru. They got it done, but it wasn't very pretty, was it? Oh.
No. There was a sequence around the 42nd minute where France had the ball about 15 times and passed the ball around, ended up with a shot by Lucas Hernandez on the left-hand side. You thought, ooh, we got something here. Yeah. And I thought, okay, in the second half, there's going to be more of this because Peru is going to have to commit numbers forward. You're going to have more time and space. If you're France attacking, you're going to find opportunities. And yet, it was France hanging on and Peru all over France. And I just thought, wait a minute, this is a favorite? Yeah. This is what this team is supposed to look like? That's another team that is disconnected. But the difference is that they're winning games. And so it's much better to be in a position where you're winning games, and even though you don't look great doing it, you're adding 3 points, and here we move forward. France is just not convincing, but they're getting the results done.
Meanwhile, we also saw Denmark hold Australia to a 1-1 draw. That should be enough for Denmark, but they weren't exactly pulling up many trees, were they, in this game?
No, they've been extremely average. They're extremely average. I don't know how they ended up doing Peru. And quite frankly, from the goal, from the equaliser from Australia were by far the better side. Denmark, they look as though they're going to sneak it. They actually look as though they're going to sneak it. They're a team that should be doing better. Eriksson, after he scored his goal, completely disappeared as if he was still patting himself on the back. But you know what? They got another result, being horrible.
When have we ever seen Denmark putting up trees? I always find that Denmark looks better in qualifying than they do on the big stage. Effective, get it done, but workmanlike, and that's as good as you will ever say about Denmark.
Well, they got lucky against Peru because Peru missed a penalty and a host of chances. But
Yeah.
if you keep Christian Eriksen quiet or he has a poor game, then you're not getting a great deal else out of Denmark. Listen, one of the big teams, if they pull Denmark, if they do qualify, will be absolutely licking their chops.
So let's just remind you how that group stands. France, of course, top, 2 wins out of 2. They haven't been very pretty, but they got all 6 points. Denmark just need a point in their final match, which, of course, is against France. Meanwhile, the final game in that group sees Australia take on Peru.